to episode 5 of Do a Skid. Here we have Matt, our special guest for the week.
Yes, so Matt's joins us today. He's going to be our guest, and Matt's from Run&Ride, who puts on a number of events that we've attended ourselves, both mountain biking, running, road biking, every kind of event going. Works closely with Mayor Active doing that. It was also imperative in the Commonwealth Games set up for the mountain biking events there, and also runs the awesome shop at Run&Ride. So we're going to be getting the trials and tribulations of running a shop as well as putting on events and everything in between, really. So we're going to kick off with some news to begin with. The regular news is, well, in terms of mountain biking, we've just done Fox Antifreeze, which was absolutely awesome race. I did it on an e-bike this year, which was brilliant because I just lapped the other guys, literally lapped them and laughed them as I went past. And other events coming up throughout the year. The next big one that we're doing, I think, is Hard Rock. But you've got an event coming up, is it next week?
We've got an event on Saturday and Sunday.
Oh yeah, it's the Dirty Knocker, isn't it?
Dirty Knocker on the Sunday, and then we've got a trail half marathon run on the Saturday.
Awesome.
It sounds rude. The Dirty Knocker.
It does. It's like that. Remember we did that world's biggest obstacle course race, and it was called the Dirty Weekender.
Yeah.
And like just telling the missus, I'm going on this thing called the Dirty Weekender. So that's sort of event news. But then there's some big changes in the industry at the moment, which Matt's just been filling us in. Do you want to?
Just a distributor, a big distributor, been going in the industry for years and years. Unfortunately, went into liquidation, I think is the term, on Monday. Based up in Derby, more large. It is. It's a shame that a company that's been going for years and years and years and years.
It is more than large.
Hit some hard times.
But I think I was talking about that in one of the previous podcasts, that it is a funny industry at the moment, isn't it? It's almost like, chain reaction cycles / wiggle / nuke proof. That they've all got that same sort of director ownership, and they're kind of creating some monopoly in the area.
Yeah, I think. What's amazing is that everybody's is so stacked full of stock. Right from the biggest brands, Specialized and the like, down to your little local store that's just got so much stock, and it's really amazing that we come out of COVID, and everybody had such an amazing time through COVID in the bike industry, selling, and all these people that have got years and years of experience never quite figured out that it was going to stop.
Yeah.
And literally it did stop. Someone just turned the tap off, but the production carried on.
Yeah.
And now there is thousands of thousands, hundreds of thousands of bikes in warehouses sitting around, and then there's everything else that comes with biking, helmets, clothing, whatever, and it's not selling.
Yeah. We were speaking to the guys at Bird Cycles, and I know they were struggling with supply as well. They were trying to get hold of some batteries to create their e-bike, and Shimano said, you can only have X amount, and they're like, we can't commit to that amount, and so on. But apparently though, Shimano there's a massive issue with Shimano motor shortages. Yeah. Apparently that is becoming getting better now. Yeah. They've fixed that issue, because there was that one period when all the Shimano motors had a lot of issues and a lot of errors. Apparently, the Japanese, they keep things close to the chest, don't they? But the rumours are that they've sorted it and they're back on it, but you never know with the.
Yeah, we certainly saw an increase in failures in motors through the back end of the COVID time, the offset of COVID.
It feels like the ones that being built with COVID were just like being made with the spare parts they could find, just wattle them door, putting it together.
Or just pushed out through the factories too quick.
Yeah.
And the ones that we saw definitely were sensor errors. Yeah. In effect, the old E10, which you've experienced.
Yeah. On the day of the event,
that morning. Days. And that's a Shimano issue, but we also saw the similar kind of things with Bosch.
Yeah.
On sensor errors as well, and
I think it's water sensor errors common with Bosch, isn't
it? It's a sensor inside, whether it's water, whether it's not. You don't know, because you never open the things up. To be fair to them, they're very quick on sorting it out.
Yeah.
And they don't. They don't mess about.
I think that, as we said before, that's the joys of coming to a bike shop like yourself. you know, if you were to go to get one off one of these many websites that are just, you know, online, with the common of these issues, to, you know, if you had that issue there, you've got to, I don't know, box it back up, send it back, and how, you know, how are you going to maintain that? Whereas if you know, you go into a bike shop, you can literally walk in and it's your problem, then you send it back or whatever. I mean, but for the consumer, you get that advice, you get the, you know.
Yeah, you get all that, and you get a warranty.
Yeah.
And
I thought the Bosch made washing machines.
I think they do as well.
They do. Yeah.
And they make drills, I think, as well.
They make loads of stuff.
Yeah.
Absolute tons of stuff.
Whatever happened to Panasonic? They used to make everything, didn't they?
Panasonic made batteries.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of the e-bike batteries are made by Panasonic.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, in other news, we've got a new challenge for Cooper.
Ooh.
That he just genuinely has no clue what it is, and I can't wait.
I can't get even a little bit out of him.
2nd of April, I'm taking Cooper on a brand new top secret challenge to pay. It's payback for him making me that bloody fish, whatever it was.
Surströmming.
Surströmming. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't. No.
It's this Norwegian. Just Google surströmming videos. People eating it.
Fish.
Swedish fish.
Fermented fish. It's fermented in a bucket for months.
Oh.
And then he made me the world's hottest Dorito, which I thought was going to be a walk in the park, was actually worse than the fish.
Are you sick?
Yeah, I threw up. And then it made it hot again because my sick was hot, and it was just getting worse and worse. So that's another thing to check out. Yeah.
So God knows what he's
I'll get some payback. Yeah,
in store for me.
And you got some news. You've been away.
I've been in Norway, yeah. I've been snowmobiling
Nice.
up the Norwegian mountains.
Yes, with our friend the Repo Man. If you ever check out his channel as well.
Check out Repo Man on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, so Coop's been doing the filming for that channel, and been hanging around with billionaires in Norway, haven't you?
Yeah, eating reindeer.
There's some guy who's got a Lego room.
A Lego room and a Coca-Cola room.
What's the? Dare I ask? What's in the Coca-Cola room?
Coca-Cola.
There's actually, he's got a crate of the very first ever Coca-Cola.
Right.
Still like in it.
In the bottle.
No, it's not the very first. I know the history of Coca-Cola. The first one, yeah, Coca-Cola. The first one was made in a cauldron.
Okay, so it's a crate of Coca-Cola glass bottles. One of the first designs. But Sean asked him if it had Coke in it.
Well, the original did.
And he said no, it doesn't.
The original recipe did.
Yeah,
so maybe it's not the original.
It's not the original. The original recipe was sold to a guy for like a few, like less than $1 as a recipe in a cauldron, and that was how it was sold. And it was originally a medicine. By a travelling medicine salesman.
Even as a billionaire, you can't get the original. Coke.
So he's got the first drinkable one. Yeah.
Oh, there we
But
go.
yeah, and a Lego room. That was cool. Eating reindeer and little salmon biscuits.
Yeah. Doing whatever posh people do.
Yeah.
But how was the snowmobiling?
Oh, snowmobiling was awesome.
He just texted me saying, I'm going snowmobiling, and my reply was, don't die like Ken Block. That was it.
Okay.
I didn't die like Ken Block. Sean came off his at 100 kilometres an hour.
Oh my gosh.
He just bounced.
He don't give a shit though, does he?
And in other news, set a date for the wedding.
More importantly, we're setting a date for the stag do.
So I'm testing out a ring on the wedding finger just to see if I want a ring or not. This isn't a wedding ring, it's just a random ring. But
yeah, he's a bit on the spectrum. He's got to wear it for a bit to get used to it, I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
He's very cruel.
And that's the news. Yeah, so let's move on to speaking to Matt and the trials and tribulations of events and bike shops. Now, first, my introduction for Matt is I love Matt. Purely because, not like that, don't worry. Purely because he was part of my original Ironman journey, quite a major part of it. Many years ago when I was 18 stone, if you haven't watched that video, go and check that one out. And I decided to sign up for the Ironman. So both Matt and Sam Coxon, who we're hopefully going to get on at some point, is an Ironman all-world athlete, was my PT. Very instrumental in doing that because I needed a road bike. Never been on a road bike before in my life. And I went to a bike shop, another one, which I will not name, over Cannock Way, and they tried to sell me this like $4,000 bike. First road bike, never been on one before in my life. And I'm like, oh, that must be how much road bikes cost. And then I spoke to my neighbour, Ant, who you know well, and he said, no, go and see Matt, run and ride. So I went down there, and then Matt was like, no, you don't need to spend that much. He said, you only need this bike, and I think it was about £900 at the time. He said, that, you know, it's your first one, you just need that. and then maybe if you get into a bit, get some carbon wheels. And he was honest. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like trying to sell me something for $4,000 because I'd walked in there. He was honest and pure, and really helped me out and gave me all the advice I needed leading up to that and onwards. And then we still go there now. All my running shoes and everything like that, and the bike I bought for my daughter, my wife was from there. And I keep going back now because of that pure honesty from the beginning. So it's that trust, and so you know, when you find something like that, you know, it's a good thing. So that's my introduction to Matt.
It's the same for me. I mean, during the COVID times, I couldn't get a road bike just for love nor money.
Oh yeah.
And Matt built me one from spare parts.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we? Yeah. I remember that actually. Yeah.
We won't go into the full details of how we got that frame. But
yeah. There's a little bend in the truth there, wasn't there? Really, with to get the right parts, but.
Yeah, and then we've attended a lot of the events that Matt's done as well. So I mean, some of the first events most of the first events we ever did were ones like
Dirty Giraffe.
Yeah, Dirty Duathlon. We've done a couple of those. We've done like the 10Ks. We've done the trail runs.
The first time I ever went over the handlebars was on a run and ride event.
Yeah,
congratulations. Thankfully, you didn't hurt yourself too much.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't know.
No.
Brain.
So and we're still doing the events now. I did the Winter Classic the other week.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward for the Summer Classic date coming out. I've done this Winter and Summer Classics the past, however long they've been running. I think the past 4 years, I suppose. Yeah,
the Winter Classic or the Classic Series as such now has been going 10 years.
Oh, quite.
Yeah, a long time really.
Yeah, so that's my intro for Matt. So Matt, first of all, tell us about running events in your own words. What's it like?
Oh, it's all fun. It's stressful. It's hard work.
Yeah.
But it's you get a good satisfaction out of it, really, especially with people like yourselves, really. That I think the big thing about sort of our events or my events is that we try not to focus too much on the racer element of it, and it's and try and get a little bit more to grassroots and just about coming along and having fun.
Yeah. And you do have those multiple categories, don't you? A beginner,
fun,
intermediate.
Yeah, we try and that's going a little bit too sort of deep into why we do that, really. But in effect, it's all to try and encourage closer racing, more fun racing, and look after every element of cycling, of cyclists, really, whether they are once a week, once a month riders that are, unfit, overweight, whatever, but just want to come and have a go, which is really important.
Yeah.
And right up to those people that race week in, week out, and it's their life, and they take it super serious.
Yeah.
And we generally kind of cater for a little bit of the.
And I can always tell those ones at the race because they're the ones who've bought their own. What's it called?
The rollers.
The rollers. Yeah, they're on the rollers before the race.
Yeah.
There's me just walking around eating a mince pie or something beforehand.
and it's really important that you get both elements, because if you go to there aren't lots of cross-country mountain bike races around anymore, and if you go to a national event or things or something like that, they're all on the rollers, and they're all, which is understandable. It's a national event; it's really important, but it can be off-putting.
Yeah.
To somebody that just just wants to have some fun, just wants to have a race with their mates, really, sometimes, and that's the case of it. And
it is scary. Your first one, it is terrifying. And I like Keith, who comes out mountain biking with us. We did the Fox Antifreeze race at the weekend.
Yeah.
Which is again dead casual. It's not a mass start. It's just you can choose on the route if you want to do 1 lap, 2 lap, or 3 laps if you want to come in or not.
Yeah.
Proper casual. But he was like, oh, I'm not sure. Actually, I don't. I might not turn up. I don't know about it. But then afterwards, you're like, that wasn't so bad. And I think that's what we get from your events as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like he probably will. I think he was debating the Winter Classic and was unsure because of that reason.
Whether it's right for
him or not. But now that sort of made him realise that I think when we explained, yours are very much the same. Everyone's welcome.
Yeah. And I think from the outside, what you get from a race, because I guess they are racing, is that kind of, it's so serious, and you've got to be fast, and you've got to be fit, and you've got to have the right bike and stuff like that. And actually, we want to try and get away from that, really, because fundamentally the biggest part of it is just bringing lots of people together with the same kind of interests to have some fun, to have a bit of a race, but have some banter and have a social side of it and enjoy it and do something different on a Sunday than they would normally. And that's that for me is the biggest part of it, rather than, I smashed it and I finished 20th, or I smashed it and finished second. Yeah. Just, I got together with a group of mates. We had a great Sunday. We did a bit of riding.
You always got the donut stand there.
Yeah, we did a bit of banter. There. We had some food. We got some pictures, and it felt like I had a day out.
Yeah,
and that's the important thing for me.
That's it, and I think it's changing people's mindsets, because when you see race, a lot of people think, competitive.
Yeah.
What if I don't come? Whereas for me, I've got no grand illusions of coming in the top 20. Do you know what I mean? I'm just there for a good time.
And that's the most important thing.
And the routes that you always put on, you alter them a bit every year, and they're always just great trails and just great route. And some of the guys that we go biking with now, I've met at your events. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. And I think people forget about that a little bit. So they sometimes see the price and go, 20, 25 quid, and all I get is an hour's race.
I could go around the chase for free on my own.
Yeah, and yes, you can do. But what you don't do is you don't meet up in a place with 500 other bikers with the same thing in mind.
Yeah,
and have that banter. Yeah. And meet new people and gain some new friends.
And you bring toilets.
And we can bring toilets, yeah.
That's a big thing for me, a toilet chase.
It is. I've been with him many a time where he's been caught short in the chase.
Use my pants.
I'm sure I've gone past some of your pants when macing his routes, actually. Oh, that's one of Coop's.
Hanging in the tree.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's massive for us, really, is just people coming together. People forget about that a little bit.
Yeah. And so do you want to tell us about list the events that you put on at the moment? Yeah, so we started years ago, really, 10 years as we just said, but it was just before that, really. We put on a standard cross-country mountain bike event for another organisation, and I won't name them, but it didn't really work out between us. Yeah.
And what we were promised we didn't get, and afterwards we looked at it and we were like, you know what, we don't need to do this, we can just do it ourselves. And that's where we started with the classic series as such, and it was born out of my kind of my race experience back in 93, 94, 95, when another organiser used to put on the Cannock Chase Classic Series, and I was like 14, 15. It was like the world to me. It was like amazing. It was nothing like you would now. You had to enter with a check and a form you filled in, sent it off, and then just be about a week before the event, you used to get a map of the course come through, like on an A4, sent through the post. And I remember getting that, and it was like really exciting. I'd go and walk the course, trying to figure out where I was going, where the course was going. And we just from that, really, it was like, well, let's bring it back.
Yeah. And
that's what we did. And as I say, 10 years later, it's still going. And then off the back of that, we've tried to add in some other things like the duathlon, which we did a few times.
And
never massive numbers.
You can always do that as a, what do you call it, when you do it to get relay as well?
You could do it as a relay and as a pair.
So I did the bike one year, Coop did
that's
one.
it, yeah, and trying to combine people together. And whether it be mates or partners or whatever, brothers, sisters, whatever. And then we've also started doing trail runs and things like that. So I do a lot of running, that anyway. And it really frustrates me that people put on trail events that are just down fire roads. And it's like, why not go left or right? Let's go into the woods and let's go and have some fun and do some single track and stuff, and go through a bog or something. So we started doing those, and they've been really popular. So now generally what we end up doing is doing one of those on a Saturday, and then a bike race on the Sunday, and it just helps break the cost down a little bit. It makes the workload crazy, and I regret it every time it happens. But it works from that point of view. Yeah.
So like most of the events you do are Cannock Chase and that.
They are, yeah. We did. Which is technically it's not been put to bed exactly, but it's put on hold for a little bit, which is a 24-hour event called Exposure 2412. that's been going for 15 years. Unfortunately, I'm the one that's had to put on the pause on it. But for 24-hour racing, it's a bit of a crazy thing, and it's not quite got the following that it used to, unfortunately, and it just doesn't pay for itself at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll come back in the future, who knows? But that was down in Plymouth in a Noonan Park, which is an amazing place, a really good venue that's used to hold World Cup courses and stuff like that. Really good venue. It's just unfortunately 5 hours too far past Birmingham for most people. So that's gone on hold for the moment. But other than that, pretty much everything is on Cannock Chase. We dabbled a little bit with the national series for British cycling. Got them out of trouble really during COVID and put a series on for them. So that was interesting.
I'm just gonna have a halls.
It's just gonna choke.
All that snow.
So that was interesting, trying to put a series on all over the country during COVID when a lot of race organisers kind of couldn't do it, or venues that were just like, no, we don't want it to. So we made that happen, and that was hard work. But awesome. There we are.
The one thing I like about your events as well is, particularly the Winter and Summer Classic, the photos are free.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I've just done Fox Antifreeze, right?
Okay.
The photos are not only bloody awful, like why you would stand there to take a picture when somebody's going to berm, like where the photos and things are. Just up a fire road is one of the few of the pictures, like literally people just riding up a fire road.
Yeah. And
they're £20 each
for what,
per photo.
Jesus.
To buy. So I'm probably inspired him now. Next one's the photos won't be free, but the photos like I had at the last Winter Classic are like 10 times better than those ones.
And free.
I'm free.
Yeah.
Do you do that special thing where it knows it's you?
Yes, they do. It's incredible as well.
Yeah.
It's so good. It says like, upload a selfie and we'll find your pictures. I thought this ain't going to work. Took a picture of myself and there's all my pictures. I was like, oh my god.
I haven't tried that actually, but I do know it's
works
a thing.
really well.
And that,
it worked better than typing in my number.
Yeah, hats off to Mick Hall, who generally does running events.
Yeah.
Who did the Winter Classic events for us at fairly short notice as well, actually. So respect to Mick. But he's got some random algorithm going on where he knows who you are.
Yeah, it is very clever.
Yeah.
Even though I was like, I'm not in that one, and then I realised I was in the background.
It's very clever.
Some freaky stuff going on there, but I mean that's another part of. I think the days of people buying lots of photos.
Yeah.
When they're racing so often, it's kind of gone a little bit.
Yeah.
So in effect, what we just looked at it and looked at the cost and kind of went, you know what? Let's just pay the photographer to be there.
Bit.
Yeah, and
because that's where the £20 a photo is. You're not paying the photographer. That's how they're making.
Yeah, that's how they're making money. Which they've got to make money. They've got to be there. But I mean, 20 quid's a bit steep, isn't it?
But I mean, the cost of antifreeze was the same, about the average same cost of your races.
Okay.
It's not like it was any cheaper because I didn't get a photographer.
No, I mean, you could either pay a photographer £300 a day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but what I mean is Matt pays for the photographer.
Exactly, yeah. But doesn't put the charge on.
Yeah, but his ticket price was the same as those that...
Yeah.
Which
didn't.
Much better. Yeah.
Which is... And for us, really, then you get the whole social media thing going on where everyone gets a free photo.
Yeah.
They'll all tag Run&Ride in that photo.
Hopefully they do. We ask them to tag them. Yeah. Very few, unfortunately, do sometimes. But, it's just one of those things. Yeah. Give them away. And they'll just keep rotating around, won't they, really? And eventually people might click on it and go, oh, that's a good picture. I'll run and ride.
Yeah.
Nice,
yeah. Yes, that was really good. And the other question really is, I suppose when it comes to events, what are the pitfalls for you? Like, what's the hardest part of running an event, I should say?
The mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stress that it causes, really.
Yeah, so I think the latest Winter Classic, you had quite a bit of backlash online, which you can understand from their point of view, but it's quite unfair, some of the things that people are saying, because I think it was one of the timing chips went wrong, didn't it? And it's the first time I've ever seen it happen.
Yes.
People go to these races for years, never say a good word. You do one bad thing,
and it all...
one thing.
It's the way it works, isn't it? So in effect, everything worked perfect all day long until the very last race of the day. And unfortunately, the last race of the day was late starting to begin with.
Right.
So
And
to
it's
be,
the professional ones.
it's more of the serious races.
The ones that are on the rollers.
Yeah.
And to be fair to a lot of them, they were really, really good.
Yeah.
But in effect, what happened is that they started a bit late, so they were cold, and I understand that they didn't want to be waiting around in the cold because it's winter class, it's cold. But what happened with the timing system is that I'll put my hand up, and I didn't load the chips correctly against the racing numbers. So what happened is that all these races were going around with chips on, and the system was scanning all these chips and they were putting them into position. So in effect, we knew who was first, second, third, 15th, 20th, whatever. We just had no names allocated against that 15th place and 16th place and so on.
Did you have the numbers allocated against them?
Not the race numbers, no.
Oh, okay.
So the chips were just... The system's quite good, so if that happens, it's a backup. So in effect, it will still work.
Yeah.
It still knows that it's going on. It still knows what the race going on and how many laps they're doing.
So you know that chip 1 did it in this time. You
Yeah,
just don't know
yeah.
who's chip 1.
Who was chip 1, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the
And-
chips are stuck to the number. No, they're not. They're
No, they
separate,
ran
aren't they?
their ankles, yes. So that was all quite good in the fact that we still had results. The problem is that as soon as
Whose
Joe
results?
Bloggs left the circuit, I had no idea who
and threw
Joe
his
Bloggs
chip in a
was.
bucket.
Yeah, so it was all over from that point of view. So what I had to do at the end was basically make an orderly queue,
I'd have made it up.
scan the chip, ask them the name and type the name in, which we did do.
Which you did, and you sorted it out.
And respect to those guys that stood in that queue and waited, because they were really good. 99% of them were really, really good, and they understood. And actually, they had a bit of banter with the mates after the finish, because everyone likes to have a chat afterwards.
Yeah.
And we got a result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, so the people found out their times then?
Oh yeah.
Oh, what they're bloody moaning about then?
And I've got to say that there was I only really had one email of full complaint, and off the back of that, what we did do is send them a half price offer for the next event, so they can
Well, you sent everybody a half price offer who was in that category, didn't you?
in that category. Yeah. So that was about 100 riders, so they got a half price offer to the May event. So when something goes wrong, I'm happy to put my hand up and that was me.
Well, that's the most important thing, because, and that's, again, it's that honesty behind it. A lot of bigger companies just bury their head in the sand.
Yeah.
No, it'll blow over. And
It was the marketing company's fault.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
But I think that's
somebody
most
else.
important.
Yeah, it's always someone else. But
You
no,
sort it out.
it was
you
mine.
learn from it, and that's I think
Yeah.
the most important thing, isn't it? So.
Yeah. So sometimes, I mean, that was incredibly stressful at the time. It's freezing cold. I was trying to
Oh,
type,
don't envy you.
and I could just feel kind of like these eyes breathing
Watching.
kind of
Yeah.
down on me, and that becomes really pressured. And it was a real shame, because the day before the run was really good. We had a great run. Everybody enjoyed the course.
Yeah.
It was a really good course. And then on the Sunday, the beginners, the fun riders, the kids was a great race. And then just at the last moment, you just fell apart, and it's like, ah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that stress that causes is.
So it wasn't my fault then, because I was worried, because I turned up. He's going to say, oh yeah, it was now. I turned up and I entered the e-bike category,
Yep.
which I was gutted I didn't enter, because there was I think there was 20 people in it.
30?
30 was that?
Yeah,
Okay.
30 people in
And
the
after looking
e-bike this year.
at some of the pictures of them afterwards,
Yeah.
I think I just stood a good chance.
Not against those first 3 or 4.
No, I suppose
They
not,
were
but-
rapid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, my e-bike, that's when I had the issue, messed up one day. But luckily, Matt said, don't worry, we'll swap your category. I went back, got my hardtail, swap category. And Matt said, just remind me later that you swapped category. So I went round to the thing while he was on his computer. I was like, Matt, don't forget I swapped category while he was on your computer.
Yeah.
And then I thought, and then I had messed up. I thought, I hope he hasn't gone to swap category, and that's what broke it or
It's
something.
your fault it was.
Yeah.
It's put everyone out by
Yeah.
one.
That's it.
And no, it was nothing to do with that. I mean, we talk about the pressure really, and a lot of people, when they come down and they come from bigger events, and they go, man, you need more people. You need people to do that, and you do that. And unfortunately, people to do this and that extra
Cost.
means cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to put the price up for the entry, and I don't want to do that, because I want to make it accessible for everybody. what it does mean is that I end up running around trying to do everything, whether it be commentating or changing courses or doing the timing and all this kind of jazz.
People like me are going, Matt, can you change my category?
Yeah, and at the time it's like,
Matt, no more donuts in the donuts.
Cooper's blocked the toilet, Matt.
But it's all about looking after people and hopefully making them have a great day, which then in sometimes causes you more work.
Yeah.
But it's just part and parcel of how we do it, and to some people they just go, "Why'd you do it like that? Why'd you bother?" But it's all about kind of giving people the experience.
Thrive under pressure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind coming along one time and helping, and not being, just doing it to help.
Yeah. Well, they always put things out for volunteers, and we always share it on the Wilderfit page.
Yeah. It's about to go out tomorrow, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. 'Cause speaking of which, I've just volunteered for Cannock Chase Trail Centre as well now.
Okay.
So I'm going out next Wednesday, doing my first volunteering litter picking Wednesday.
Okay. Yes. Cool.
Not digging the
Not
trenches.
digging.
The digging is... Oh, there's something going on. There is a dig event coming up, and she sent me the date, but I can't remember. I think I'm on holiday or I'm doing something on that day. I can't remember what it was, but I said I'll come to the next dig after that. But yeah, so that's something you can do as well. Sign up online and do things like that. And
it's good to do stuff like that, and I think it's so valuable because getting volunteers is really hard work.
Yeah, it's good to give something back, I think.
And it is, yeah. And certainly the dig days and the litter picks and stuff like that, because we all use the trails.
Yeah.
And although everyone goes, well, it's there provided for us, it should be free.
And then
whatever.
most people moan about it. Oh, it's not maintained.
Yeah,
They're
and
the ones that got the littering.
it's just if you can do a little bit now and again, it's a bonus, and it does give you a feel good factor actually afterwards. Yeah.
Well, if you search Run&Ride on the socials, I think Run&Ride UK, is it on?
What, the website?
On Instagram.
Yes, you Run&Ride UK.
Run&Ride UK on Instagram. Search it on Facebook, it'll come up. Follow them, and you'll see whenever they're putting up for volunteers on there. And the more, and the events as well. You'll keep an eye out because they actually put the Facebook events where you can click the buy ticket on there, and it's all nicely run through that.
It doesn't come as a postal check anymore.
No, we're not filling forms.
You have a category, don't you, for like bikes below a certain year? Is it like 90? Retro bikes.
Yeah.
Right, for all the retro categories, you should make them pay by cheque. You should send them out a map in the post just for that. I know it's an extra work for you, but that'd just be so funny just to do it in that style.
Yeah, just to go back in the day a little
retro
bit.
Run and Ride.
I thought about taking my chopper, to one of them.
Gosh, you couldn't.
You'd rattle that down somewhere.
It'd be hilarious, wouldn't it? It would be funny. I'm thinking about taking it to Hard Rock and going on the ramp that goes onto the airbag. But I'm not sure about them bars will bend as I go up the ramp.
It might not land too well.
No. Yeah. And it's a heavy weight to land on me.
We see some great bikes though. Like some really sort of pristine bikes that people are still riding.
Well, I've still got my rally activator. I don't know if you remember them.
No.
It was big in the 90s. They're solid disc wheels.
Okay.
Yeah, an old rally bike that I had for years. Then my dad had it. And then my dad was going to get rid of it. I was like, no, don't get rid of that. That's my old rally activator. So I'm thinking about entering one year on the old rally activator.
I'd love a Klein.
Yeah.
Yeah, Klein Attitude in the old retro colour, and if it had a disc drive, wow, that'd be amazing. So there you go. If anyone's selling the Klein Attitude in good nick,
there you go.
Come and see us.
I've been looking at some of the old nuke-proof frames as well, and seeing if I could build an old one, but you don't see them coming up. I keep looking on eBay now and again, but you don't see them come up often.
Yeah.
So Matt, what does an event cost to put on, and how much time do you have to put into an event to make it as good as you do?
It's quite expensive, as is everything, and in particular over the last 2 or 3 years, it has gone up a lot. It's the bits that people kind of take for granted are the bits that really kind of that kill you a little bit, like toilets, for example. You just take toilets for example. They're just average price for a toilet is around about 120 quid. Then you've got to have it delivered, have it get collected. Yeah. And generally the way in which we do
per toilet or for like
per toilet?
No, 120 quid per toilet.
Yeah. How many toilets do you normally?
We do 10 to 15, and then you've got to have them, which is a pretty nasty job, sucked out, cleaned.
Oh yeah.
So we have them cleaned on a Saturday night, ready for Sunday's race, and there's some. So yeah, I mean that's a fair bit of cash really.
£1.50
Yeah, and then you've got like all the little bits add up. So like even race numbers that are a certain grade of paper, so they don't fold and rip and stuff like that. They can cost you nearly £100 just for those. Insurance now is going up and up and up and doing that, and then you've got land fees. So we pay anything between £1 to £3 at rider, or even 20% of the entry fee for land costs. So
that's for the forestry, is it?
That's for the forestry or whoever landowner it may be, and that's quite reasonable. Believe it or not, if you go to a private landowner, they'll take a massive chunk off you. It will be a set fee, and regardless whether you have 20 people on site or whether you have 2,000 on site, they want a set fee. So that's really expensive. What else costs loads of money? Helpers. Yeah. I mean, we used to start off with volunteers, of course, to marshal it, and that was free. But as soon as you start asking them to do 2 or 3, which is naturally, and they're putting a lot of time in, so you have to technically reimburse them somehow.
Well, even I saw the volunteers you asked for as well. You say you get a free lunch or something, don't you?
Yeah. So we try and look after them that way. I mean, it's a tough gig if you're standing in the middle of a forest for 10 hours and the weather's howling at you and it's pouring down with rain. You're probably not that keen on going back and doing it 2 weeks later. Yeah. So you've got to give them something, and we do give them quite a bit, I think, compared to other organisers. But that can run into, it can easily run into a couple of grand straight away if you've got a weekend.
I suppose you've got all your fencing as well to put out, and the planning the route.
Yeah, the fencing and
you've got your big inflatable start thing. I mean, that's
Scott give you that. Yeah, so Scott provide that, which is really good. They're super keen to support us, which is good. But yeah, those costs just rack up, and before you know it, there's not much left. Prizes. Yeah. So you got to buy the prizes, because people kind of go, you just tap up a supplier and they'll give you loads of prizes. It doesn't work like that. No. Everybody's pretty strapped. So getting anything can. For this weekend, we had a great deal of muck off, because they're a good supporter like that, and they're supplying us with some heavily discounted prizes, but we still got to buy them. Yeah.
Blimey, yeah.
And
then people think,
expensive.
£30 a ticket times how many people go, and they think, you must be loaded. Do you know what I mean? They don't see all that. That's like going into that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fine line really with even events I do. There's a fine line between just breaking even or losing money, or making a reasonable amount, which we then try and invest into the next ones.
Yeah.
So, for example, the Summer Classic last year, we lost probably about £600 on it.
Yeah.
We still have 300 riders, but we still lost money because you're paying out so much, and then you just get over that mark and you can make a bit more, but you know that the next one could be underneath, so you can't, you make a bit and think, it's great. But you've got to bank that just in case it happens again next time. Yeah. So that's the world of a race organiser. Is not we work for 4 days and then put our feet up for a month, because it literally is just a way of subsidising growing the events, but also a lot of the time the money just goes back into the bike shop as well. Yeah. So
and here's a good thing I forgot to mention a lot of your events as well, is they always link with that like Roots and Rain thing, isn't it? And those online events things. So once you sign up to these online events things, I'll get an email saying, is this you in this race? And then it just logs it with all the other races you've done on certain websites.
I mean, that's a great website, isn't it? And I forget the name of the guy that runs it, but they certainly puts a lot of effort into bringing all the pictures and also all the results together and knitting them all together. And it's quite good when you can look back over the last few years and see what you've done. It's quite a nice thing. It's like Strava, but with a bit more.
Yeah, it's quite cool.
Yeah, so that's it's cool.
Right, so tell us then about working with the Commonwealth, because you was quite instrumental in, for those who don't know, the Commonwealth Mountain Bike Games last year, it is now, was at Cannock Chase, which was great. I went down and watched the women's, watched the UK lady take it. So, but you were quite instrumental in putting the track together and helping out with that, weren't you? So
last minute really for me, because I don't really know the full ins and outs, even though I was involved in it in the end, but it bounced between a few people, and then they kind of sat on it for way too long, and then very last minute, the lady that was looking after it pulled out for her own reasons, suggested that I got involved, and eventually they brought me on, and it was like a bit of a whirlwind really, from literally sort of just joining this massive organisation that was trying to organise millions of people around various events.
It was rammed as well.
To putting on that event and setting it up and looking after the marshals and planning the course in the end and marking it and everything else, and then the race day, which was pretty mad. Yeah. Never seen. Well, I wouldn't say I've never seen so many people at a bike event, but I've certainly not for many years seen so many people at a mountain bike event spectating. It was pretty
incredible.
Yeah,
and they've got like the camera setups and rigs and helicopters and everything.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty cool. You know, not been involved in working with a TV crew like that before, and bringing in the helicopter to film it and stuff like that was pretty mental. And walking around with the TV crew, talking about the lines of sight and things like that, and that was a little bit crazy. And then the eagle cam that sort of flew across from one line of trees to another, and it was an amazing experience. It was just incredibly expensive for what they did. What I loved about it was that I've got friends that went along and watched it that are pretty much not into cycling in any way, and went along to watch it and had a great day. And I thought that was really cool that we actually involved people from outside the sport. They got it, they understood it, and they enjoyed it and would consider going and watching again. And I guess from a Commonwealth point of view, that's I guess a bit of legacy, and that's what it's all about.
And it was very busy. I mean, I went down, and all along the rows of fences was, 2 or 3 people deep. And I climbed up through this little off-piste bit and managed to step behind one of the cameras just in the middle of a bush just to watch it.
Did you get told off for being there?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
I'm only short and I look like an Ewok. Just poking my head up.
Just popped out the ferns.
Put some more on my head and I was alright.
But I mean that was really good. And it was a great day. The weather was cool. It would have been great to have a bigger field. But in particular the women's, it was quite a small field, wasn't it? But it clashed with a World Cup event out in the States. And a lot of some of the riders that have got probably US sponsors would have preferred to be over there than over here. So, but it was it was great nonetheless. Brilliant to see Evie take the win.
That was it.
And the British guys on the they rode really well. Some of them are really young, so it was cool to see. And it was great to be involved in.
Awesome.
And it also left us in this area with a great track. And I think that's something that's forgotten a little bit, is that the money from that event, although they spent so much cash, and it's scary knowing what I put events on and what I put a national event on and what they spent on that one. The Blue Route was created with money from the Commonwealth Games. So,
and some of the old tracks are still open now. But they're sort of off-piste sections now, not guided, but you can still ride.
They resurfaced them, didn't they, and made them a little safer, I think.
They've got some pretty dodgy names on Strava, though. I think some of them. Have you seen it?
I've seen that one in particular. Yes.
Reach Around, Crusty Sock. I think. I don't know whose name.
What's the one from the top called?
I
can't remember now. That was there before. That's been there pretty much kind of in various different ways for years.
What's it called now?
It was
something anus or something like that. I can't remember.
It was adopted by the race course anyway. But I mean the Blue Route is awesome really for the area and the new riders and the kids that go on it and things like that. And it was really needed. I guess well done Commonwealth money.
Well done you for getting involved with it as well.
I think we
probably more stress for yourself.
I mean it was awesome. It was difficult trying to run the shop and that at the same time. And I pretty much kind of had to sort of put myself up there in a little tent in effect, really for a month. But it was
Matt the Hermit.
But it was really good, and respect to everybody that was involved, because there was so many marshals that give up so much of their time to do it, and at first I thought there was way too many, and we got all these people, and I'm like, what am I going to do with them? But actually, given on the day, it was it all came off really, yeah. So it was good. It was cool. Yeah,
Cool.
Had a great team.
Good.
Excellent.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get some like it maybe to the chase for future. Really,
Yeah, that'd be good.
You never know.
So obviously I follow you on Strava, and I notice when you're not in the shop running a running / bike shop, you're either running / biking yourself. So and you've done a number of events. So not an event you've put on, but what would you say is personally like the biggest or craziest or wildest event you've personally done?
Oh, crikey, that's pretty tricky. I've done a few 24-hour solos. Yeah, they're not good for you. Yeah, they tend to break you for a while. They do.
Yeah. Mentally and physically.
Yeah, definitely both of them. Yeah. It's. I mean, it's a really interesting one, trying to take yourself physically to the limit, but also mentally to the limit, and see what makes you crack.
I mean, well, I did the ultra marathon. I think mine was about 17 hours. And I was going mental by the end of it, weren't I?
I was just about to ask, have you ever been running downhill after 17 hours and you're so mucked up in the brain that you think you're running uphill? Because we were about 16 hours in and I did the last leg with him.
Yeah.
And he's on his crutches going blah, 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 like a monster. And he's going, oh, I hate these hills. I'm going, dude, it's downhill. He actually thought we were going uphill. He was that broken.
It does hurt, doesn't it? Yes. Yeah. I mean, I remember doing a solo endurance one, and I was kind of coming towards the end, and I was a bit broken, and just towards the top of the final climb before you go down into the bottom, there was a bench, and I just have a little sit down. I'll just have a little sit
just
down.
Just a quick nap.
and I think it was about 20 minutes later, another competitor woke me up, and I'd just fallen asleep, and I hadn't got a clue what I was doing or where I was at the time. All I had to do was do the final descent, but I was
like, just 5 more minutes.
I was just that broken, and it was in the middle of the night, and I was, it was not
asleep.
Yeah, I just fell asleep. So yeah, stuff
God
like
bless
that.
the bloke who come and woke you up.
I wonder how many people had gone past you.
Yeah, and just got it.
He's dead.
Oh, he's gone. So yeah, that was an experience. Yeah,
brilliant.
Where
was that?
That was up in Newcastleton.
Okay.
Yeah. So they did the national 24-hour and 12-hour champs there for a few years. A friend of mine organised it, and it was.
This is bringing back memories of yours.
Oh yeah, it was like, awful.
All I remember
great
from
at
mine
the
is
same time.
You have the food stops.
Yeah.
He kept coming in the food stops with me and robbing the Freddos. He wasn't even doing it. He was just getting pockets full of Freddos.
Cruel.
When you finish these long races and you actually stop, do you find that your body shuts down?
Yeah, I mean, certain ones I've done. So I've been in various different states of condition when I've finished, and
but you run faster than I do. He runs like he's in the top. Whereas
But I think there's a different element to that as well. Yeah. So if, for example, if I run a marathon, I'll aim for 3 hours, and it will hurt.
Yeah.
But somebody else will be doing it in 6 hours.
Yeah. And they hurt just as much.
Yeah. So for me to run for 6 hours, I can't comprehend that. But that person's out there doing the same distance on their feet for 6 hours, and it's a different race completely. It's a different event, and it's
Einstein's theory of relativity.
So it's weird.
Because I just remember he ran 62 miles, 100 kilometres.
Yeah.
And he got to the finish line and he just went bleh, and he was like jelly. And me and his dad had to basically drag him to the car because his legs didn't work.
Yeah, they just lock up. Yeah.
My legs don't work.
Yeah. I mean, another one like that really was Snowdon. They do a trail, marathon and half marathon. Now the marathon I did, and I did all right. That really, I was quite comfortable. The half marathon, tried to race it, and absolutely broken to the point where you drop off the mountain towards the last little bit, and you do a little shoot on the tarmac, anyone that's done it will know about it.
Right.
And literally kind of going down this little bit, it's only about 50 metres long, side to side like that, going down, because just going straight hurt too much.
Yeah.
And the impact on your legs.
I can imagine.
Yeah, just an absolute killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and in effect, really, all you want to do is go up.
Yeah.
Because the impact isn't the same, but you come to go down, and
I was saying that to some guys
brutal.
the other day, because me and Cooper, some of the news, is we're driving for some people who are doing the three peaks soon.
Oh, cool, yeah.
So they're doing it for the Stanley Trust, a charity we both know. And Cooper's driving for him, and he said, do you fancy doing a driver with me? Oh, I'll go on then. So yeah, we've been the driver. But I was saying that to them because I've obviously done the 3 peaks, and I said the worst of the 3 was the second one, Scarfell Pike, not going up, coming down.
Coming down it, yeah.
Because the steps are like, you get them, like steps are always in a shape, you know what shape a step is, and they're like, some are longer and then some are shorter, and then they're like that, and it's all solid, and just coming down was constant banging on the knee.
Yeah.
And one of the lads, it took so long to come down, we were waiting for him in the bus because it was just, and when I got to the bottom, it was the only one out of all of them that actually hurt afterwards.
Yeah.
And like you said, it wasn't the going up, it was that
coming
bang,
down.
bang, bang.
That's the bit that you're just not used to.
Yeah.
And there's that guy that took so long to come down. You can't do anything about it. It's just you've got your pace, and that is it. Yeah, it's just about mentally trying to just get yourself from one step to another and just get you off as quick as you can.
Yeah, and that's something I think not a lot of people train for.
Mountains like that, really, it's really difficult to train because Cannock Chase doesn't have anything like it. You can't replicate it around here, so yeah, it is hard. It's a shock. Yeah. But you look back afterwards most of the time and go, yeah, well, I'd probably have another go. Yeah,
it's like childbirth, I imagine, for women. I hate it during it. Oh, that's the worst thing I've ever been through. And then, you're so like, oh, should we have another one? you just do it again, don't you? I'll go and put myself through all that pain again.
But fond memories of really bad events.
Brilliant.
More recently, I'd say, the last year or so, the speed's not there anymore. Yeah. So I start looking for adventures, really, and that's a big thing for me now, is trying to find an event that's just different.
That's what I'm looking for at the moment. Like I'm in the background looking for an adventure kind of thing, and there's something that I really want to do, but it's mountain bike in the Arctic Circle.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if you've seen it.
That's extreme.
Yeah, but you pay to go over there for like a few days. You camp out on the Arctic, and then you get a fat bike. Oh yeah. And they rent you, and you ride the Arctic Circle, and then you've got like the dogs and that next to you, and you camp up there. And you come back, and I thought that looks really cool.
It's just different.
Yeah, it's something different. So yeah, if you see anything, and vice versa, let me know, because I'm on the
because you don't like to do things twice. So you've done an ultra marathon, you've done.
I swam to the Isle of Wight.
You've swam the Isle of Wight. You don't want to do that again. You want to do something.
Well, I think it's just creating those memories, isn't it? Really, and you don't always have to redo it over and over again. You can do something kind of out there or different, and like you say, it's not about being amazing at it or winning it or anything like that. It's just ticking that box and kind of going, you know what, I actually pushed myself that day, and I really enjoyed it. Strangely,
and most of this addiction now is thanks to you helping me through the Ironman as well. Originally the first ever one. So.
And I think it's important to say that actually we talk about kind of doing ultras and running 60 mile and going up mountains and all this kind of business. It doesn't have to be a big challenge, does it?
No.
Not for it's all relative, isn't it?
Well, again,
really?
that challenge is relative to the person doing it.
Yeah. Like the first challenge you ever got me doing, walk up Snowdon.
Yeah, that was
a big thing.
And you moaned the whole way.
Halfway up, get me a fucking helicopter. I only walk.
Taking the train down. But yeah, for you it's a massive thing, and
half a year later I'm doing a half marathon. It's like
it's completely different.
And that comes back to your events again. Do you know what I mean, you haven't got to go into it thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna just go into it to win it. Just go in and have a nice time. Yeah, that's all you got to do.
Definitely. If your adventure is 5k, then hey, go and do that adventure. If your adventure is going around the Arctic, so be it. Yeah. Respect.
I've got a little confession to make that I've just remembered.
Go on.
Have you?
When we did that dirty duathlon.
Yeah.
On the last lap, I was really tired. So I took a shortcut.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Where did you find a shortcut?
I remember it quite vividly actually. So I did the bike, 3 laps on the bike, and you did whatever you did running.
Was it on the bike you did the shortcut?
I was on the bike.
I thought you meant running. I mean, taking a shortcut running's easy. Taking a shortcut on a bike.
Yeah, so I had to drag the bike up through some ferns and stuff, and I think it actually probably took me longer than riding. But it was the principle in my brain that I'm not riding that again. I dragged it up a thing.
Respect the honesty.
And then
You never even told me that.
And then at the end, I was really panicking because over the tannoy, I remember you saying, "Put your chip in the bin or whatever it was." I think, "Oh God, have they got GPS on me? Are they going to see that I've got to do it?"
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Strava now. You can't get away with it, can you?
Yeah. Well, there we go. Cooper's confession.
Be watching you next time.
Yeah. Well, so I think we've done events to death. As we've said before, go on, follow them on Instagram, on Facebook, and the socials. Have a look on YouTube. Our videos. We've recorded a lot of the events and join the next ones. Mm-hmm. So tell us about running a shop now. What's that sort of things like?
Yeah, so running a shop is it's great. So we've got kind of 2 halves to the shop really. We've got the running side, and we've got the bike side.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's 2 halves to that. You've got mountain bikes and road bikes.
And it's a two things that we're really passionate about. Pretty much all the team actually. Yeah. From Steve the mechanic, he used to be a very, very good runner. Ped, who works with us, even the young guys at weekends, they're all runners, all the bikers. Yeah. That's one of the conditions of working at Run&Ride really. So we are theoretically doing what we have a passion for. Yeah. Although when you're working with bikes all day long,
the passion
does kill the passion a little bit. And certainly we've been going for over 10 years now. Yeah. And I've certainly gone through that sort of flow of being into it and then losing that passion to ride, because you're with bikes day in, day out. You're talking bikes day in, day out. So that's where the running come into it. Again, we started running it, and but it's a great business to be in if you want to do your hobby and enjoy it, and probably not make lots of money. So like every industry, it goes through its tough times, and I think for a lot of shops now they are in that tough time. We all knew at some point it was going to drop off a cliff after the back of COVID, and we all had a great time in COVID. There's no denying that. And we sold more bikes than we've ever sold before. It was just a really amazing time. But now it's stopped. Yeah. And now we're having a quieter time, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are having a very, very quiet time, and hopefully they'll get through it, because you never want to see their competitors. You never really want to see people struggle. Yeah. But it's good. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing, and that's the part of it. Cycling and running, the technology that's coming into both of the sports is always changing it. And for cycling wise, from that point of view, e-bike is growing massively.
I've heard they've got e-road bikes now, haven't they?
Yeah, e-road bike, e-gravel bike.
Well, I mean,
I think you can bolt a battery in a motor to.
Do e-running?
Like go gadget legs.
Hovercraft. Yeah, Back to the Future's been done.
But yeah, I mean, I never. I mean, I suppose I never understood e-mountain bikes until I rode one. But mountain biking, like, I got an e-bike for that because I like to do a lot of off-piste or go exploring, like from over the peaks. Many times I've thought, oh, that looks wicked over there, but I can't be bothered to ride up there because I've got to come back. But now it's great. Woo, I'm up there, back. But road biking, I feel like the hills are easy on a road bike anyway, for the most part. Yeah. Well, easier, certainly easier, yes, yeah. So, like, I don't understand.
I think
why you'd want one.
I mean, we personally we don't do many e-road bikes, mainly because the motor system is pretty shocking, or it has been up to now. But there are. We've done a number of them for customers that have ridden road bikes for years and want to continue to be part of that social group.
Okay, yes.
And for one reason or another, whether it be age or general fitness or illness, can no longer do to the level that they wanted to do.
Yeah, so it's
and need that assistance too.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think to a certain point, that was what started the mountain bike revolution of e-bikes. Was that you got a group of 3 guys, one of them just couldn't keep up, or one of them couldn't get out anymore because they'd got a bad knee or a bad hip or whatever. Get an e-bike, all of a sudden now they can keep up, but or now the other 2 can't keep up, and they have to buy an e-bike.
Well, speaking of which, there was a guy at Fox antifreeze with 1 leg.
You're right, okay.
On an e-bike doing it. It was like fair play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but and that's how it started, but now it's
face.
That doesn't make sense in my head.
Why?
Because you need both.
No, it's clipped in, so you push pull.
Yeah, so it's rotating. Yeah.
I was going to say you don't even have to go whoop.
And then stop.
Grab the other one with your hand. Whoop.
With a string like Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, now it's just become a beast, hasn't it? Really.
Yeah.
And I would say that 80% of the mountain bike customers that are coming through our shop now would probably have an e-bike.
Yeah.
There's things stopping them really, but sometimes it's just their own their stubbornness. Not to give into it, but also the other side of it is obviously cash, and they're expensive. But hopefully over time that will maybe change and the price will come down, but the quality will also continue to get good, because the best brands out there don't have it perfectly right yet.
Yeah.
So we don't deal with the cheaper brands, but they must be shocking for reliability.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've got that perfect mix because I've got a hard tail.
Yeah.
So I'll go out and use my legs for a bit. But it's so tempting though, like, when you're looking at both. I'm like,
which do I take?
And honestly, after doing Fox antifreeze on that, and like the hills, I did last year on my standard bike. This year it was so much fun. I was just smiling and laughing the whole way around. There's none of that pain moment. But then it takes that away as well, because sometimes you feel like you've not earned it. But yeah, I think it's good to have a blend.
Yes, there's 2 sides to it, isn't there? Really, there's those guys that go out and want to do it for fitness, and I would probably put myself in that category. Yeah. I want to go and batter myself, and I want to get to the end and feel like I've really worked myself to bits. Yeah. And then there's the other side of it that people just want to ride and have fun.
Have a nice time.
And you can't knock that, because that's really great. And for those people, and I say there's customers in the store, e-bikes are more fun to ride.
But even still though, I think it's a misconception that you don't have
you do
fit on an e-bike.
Yeah, you can back yourself, can't you?
Because when I first went out on it, I went out and like my first ride on it, it was like just went out and just killed the battery to death. And I come back, and for the first time in a long time, my legs were aching. Yeah. And I think I put it down to like the road biking, you're a continuous cadence, aren't you?
You pedal.
My legs are continuously going.
Yes.
And I think it was similar to that my legs were continuously spinning. I wasn't battling up a hill, stopping because I'm knackered at the top of the hill, getting off,
stopping.
Yeah, my legs were like this the whole time. So I come back and I was like,
continue to ride.
Why are my legs aching? That's weird.
Yeah. So I mean that people say it's cheating. It's not really cheating. You're cheating. You're only cheating yourself. Yeah. Other than those people that log e-bike rides on Strava as normal rides. Ban them.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. I mean, I've done it by accident and then swapped it because I've recorded it on my watch if I hadn't had my Garmin. Yeah. And then it even says, was this an e-bike ride? And that's how I knew. I was like, oh yeah, actually it was, because it thinks you were going pretty fast. But yeah, I can imagine some people are getting some like King of the Mountains or whatever.
Yeah, it's a bit wrong, that, isn't it? Really, I'm on an e-bike, but I'm gonna beat the.
And what's also wrong is the people that de-restrict them in the racing.
Yeah, I mean, why would you?
See, one thing I noticed this year is you said at the beginning of the race, right? If you see anybody who thinks de-restricted, point them out. We will be testing the top 10.
Yeah, tell me about
afterwards.
This. They're modding the bike so you can go quicker.
Yeah, so in the UK they're limited.
16 mile an hour.
Yeah, UK regulations. So any e-bike for use.
Sorry, 16 miles an hour.
Yeah, or 15.6.
I could go quicker than that on a normal bike.
Not
Yeah.
uphill, you wouldn't. No.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And a mountain bike, you will.
Yeah.
So it would go quicker.
If you're going downhill, it'll go whatever momentum will carry you.
It goes any speed you like.
You keep going downhill, it'll go as fast as you can. But in a straight line, while you're pushing, after 16 mile an hour, it stops providing the assistance. Right. So then you can still go faster. It's not like you've got to push yourself to go faster. After.
It's not like a van that's limited to 70.
Yeah, and it's just going to cut off.
Stops.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Well, it feels like that when you're doing it.
Yeah, it does when the assistance comes out. It's like, oh, okay, there's the weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, de-restricting them for racing, again, you're just cheating yourself. It's just pointless.
And I'm sure
I
at
can
Fox
imagine-
Antifreeze.
I can imagine seeing people going uphill more than 60 miles an hour.
Well, if you watch the
It's probably
Antifreeze
always,
video,
isn't it?
I'd mention it because there's one guy that come past me, and like I was doing 16 mile an hour, pedaling, and his legs are going like this, and he's going la 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 la, and I'm thinking there's something not right there.
Yeah. So there's consequences to that, isn't there? Really?
Yeah.
And especially there's that grey area really that these bikes will drive to 30 mile an hour. And there's a couple of things. One is people actually got the skill to ride at 30 mile an hour when they're used to riding at 8, which is an issue. But if you hit somebody, I mean, they're not light, are they? These
That's like
bikes?
hitting a child at 30.
Imagine jumping out of a car window at 30 mile an hour at a tree.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
So
if
it's
you hit me at 30, I might survive.
remember that advert actually. Yeah.
You hit me at 40, I'm dead.
Get the fucking road then.
But yeah, that's the problem with e-bikes. But certainly for racing, if you're gonna de-restrict them, it's kind of where's the race?
Yeah,
there is no.
Anyway, back onto the shop side of things.
Yes,
We've diverted a bit. So
yeah, so certainly e-bike is the driving factor in the industry without a doubt, and it's going to continue like that for a long time. And now you get in road bikes, gravel e-bikes as well now. Is that gravel or just road bike?
It's just mental.
Yeah, and then of course you're getting lighter weight e-bikes.
The trail sort of.
With smaller batteries and motors to go to feel like it does in a normal bike.
Stealthy, aren't they? Some of them now you can't look. You wouldn't know there's a battery in.
Yeah, I mean we've had one in at the back end of last week. A new Scott one, a Lumin, and it you put them by their cross country bike, the Spark, and you don't even notice it's an e-bike.
Yeah.
And it weighs about the weight of a trail bike.
So what sort of weight would that?
16. What do we weigh at? 16.2 kilos.
Yeah.
So it's £35 in weight or thereabouts.
Yeah.
And it feels like a long travel trail bike really.
Yeah.
But it's got a motor and a battery in it. So it's you wouldn't notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If your mate pulled up next to you,
you wouldn't know.
you wouldn't know he's on an e-bike until he cleared off and left you behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so that's how the industry's changing.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
The industry's also changing with Bluetooth gears, isn't it? It just does it at the back.
Yeah, electric.
Oh, he loves
definitely.
gears.
You like them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're ace, aren't they?
Yeah.
They just work.
The best thing for me is when I come off and it's snapped off. Ordinarily, that would be an issue. But I just held it in my hand and kept changing gears like this.
The lever tapped off. Oh god.
Also, in respect of running a shop itself.
You keep saying running a shop. Are you like? Is that?
Running. Yeah, it's my pun. Purpose pun. Yeah. What else would you say?
Well, you wouldn't, but you've said it multiple times.
Owning a shop. Then.
Yes.
Okay. So obviously you've got the running side of things as well.
This is what's confusing me.
Yeah, you're running a running shop.
Running a running shop.
Running a running shop where you sell running gear for runners.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so you obviously you got the running side of things as well. What percentage would you say is it like 50-50? Is it like?
It depends a little bit on the time of the year.
Yeah.
So like January, February, which is pretty much a quiet time for bikes.
Yeah.
It's a big time for running because of spring events.
Yeah.
So you've got like half marathons and stuff like that. So we do a lot of shoes this time of the year. And then really when the good weather starts to come, which is hopefully soon, the bike kind of sales really sort of kick in then. So if you're spending big money on a road bike, for example, you don't really want it now because the roads are full of grit and it's filthy, it's wet and dirty. But you want it in April when the weather starts to get really good and the summer's.
But doesn't everybody go? Road bikes will be really cheap now because nobody wants one.
I could see you thinking.
It's like the time I bought a convertible in the winter.
Yeah, and then realised you.
Yeah, I can see the logic there.
He won the lottery, bought a convertible, and didn't fit in it.
Yeah, that's another story.
But yeah, it doesn't quite work. But I can see the thinking there. I mean, the bike industry is backwards anyway, really. Yeah, they bring out new next year's stuff in August, but then can't provide the stock until January the following year, and it's all over the place.
And the other thing, obviously, with e-bikes is they are a big theft threat.
Massive.
Yeah. So you had a breaking into.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've been done a break-in for bikes twice now.
I remember you got a picture of one guy, because I remember sharing it on Wilderfit. Does anybody know these guys? And they look like Broncos.
Yeah. So that was not long after we opened. Yeah.
Didn't you see some suspicious people with bikes?
I did. Yeah, I took I was by a paper shop and there was a couple of guys, one with a specialised e-bike and another one with an e-bike. And I was looking underneath it, and they were both standing by these bikes. They didn't have helmets on, and they were just in this dark corner by a paper shop. Well, I was waiting outside.
They look rough, like they wouldn't be the kind of.
They look like
not the people that would buy that kind of bike.
So I just started filming them.
Oh yeah.
From the car, and just sat there for a while filming them, and I thought. And then I went online and looked for anybody who'd reported stolen bikes, and never found anything. But they could have been innocent. But yeah, it was.
Yeah, there's. I mean, it's painful when it happens. The first time was really bad actually because we had a number of our own bikes stolen, which is bad enough, but we also had a number of customers' bikes stolen as well. Yeah. And they knew what they were taking. They went in and they picked out the e-bikes and they went for the e-bikes, and it was really it was just a bad time really, and trying to get the insurance afterwards to value the second-hand bikes and things like that was a nightmare. So
and that puts your insurance up, I imagine, as well.
And it's just it's not a nice experience either. Really, for me, it's like home. Yeah, I'm there every day of the week, and somebody's coming in your house and robbing your stuff.
Bastards.
I'll cut this bit out. You want to get some of that rainbow sauce. So people go into the shop. Yeah. And
people can come out and cover them in rainbows.
Honestly, it's
like
sprinkles.
Yeah, yes.
And it covers them in multiple colours, and they're stuck like it for weeks.
The problem is it doesn't come off the product. So we've had this recently. Like smoke bombs are a big thing now. So like foam shops have smoke bombs.
You'd be selling multicoloured bikes, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but it leaves like a grease over all the clothing and everything. Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah.
£100 a night. I'll come and sit there with a rainbow sauce shotgun
just at the front door.
Put him right off with his rainbow sauce. But yeah, I mean, you've looked into shutters as well, but the prices are ridiculous.
Yeah. So we up the security as you do after you get broken into, and we put barriers and stuff. And all that kind of business. More cameras in the store. And thankfully we didn't get any issues really until just before Christmas when we were broken into again, and they took 5 bikes off us, and this time there was no pattern to it. They just took any random bike that they could get hold of from the door, but again it was a real frustration. So now we've looked at shutters, which everybody says afterwards, why didn't you have more security and why didn't you have shutters on the door? And we don't have shutters on the door, or we haven't had shutters on the door because they're bloody expensive. So we've kind of got to the point now where last week we had again some very suspicious characters come in. When you're in there every day, you know bike people, or you know people that have an interest in bikes or running, and they're coming in to have a genuine look around. And we had some people in last week that certainly didn't look like those kind of people, didn't talk like those kind of people. Yeah. And it made us.
How much is that one worth, mate? How much is that one worth, mate?
It was a little how light they are. It was a little bit like that.
Take measures out.
And we were kind of like, you know what? Actually, so we we've kind of bit the bullet. We're going from some shutters, and we're gonna shut the whole place down really. And
which is annoying. It's when you're renting the building as well. You don't own the building. You're paying for.
Yeah, it's a massive investment. I mean, it's 15 grand. So it's we're not a big business really as such. So 15 grand's a big outlay for us. But we've got to the point now where it's peace of mind, and we're going to have to do it now. So yeah.
Can I give you another idea?
Yes.
Next time you get somebody in like that, right, and they look suspicious, go up to them and say, "Congratulations, you've won Customer of the Week. You get this free Trek bar or whatever," and then say, "Smile," and then take a picture of them, close, and then Customer of the Week. Yeah, honestly, every time you get someone, please do that. Please.
They won't come in.
Yeah, because then they'll be put right off. Yeah, that's what I do.
Idea.
I mean, I'm not a big expert in this field, but certainly the police and what will tell us that some of the people are just completely brazen. They don't care whether their face is on camera or not. They're in. They've got what they want, and they're out. And before you know it, it's stripped or it's rebuilt and it's sent off to someone else, and that's it. It's gone.
You always have a lovely cake on the counter.
Yes,
that's another thing. Yeah, because these guys are. Sorry, just to interrupt you there. But I was going to say, these guys are based off Milford Common, so if you're riding through the Chase, you can stop off, go for the off-piste, go over the other side of the Chase, come through Milford, stop off, and have a coffee and a cake. And then crack on.
The best coffee in Milford, without a doubt.
Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, do the thieves ever take a slice of cake?
Oh, that would be really...
fistful.
If I ever got hold of them, if they nicked my cake.
Yeah.
Yes. So, home-baked. So I make the cake.
Do you really?
Yeah, well, most of it actually. My girlfriend also makes some of it as well.
I never knew that.
Respect to her. She makes better cake than me, but hey, I'm learning slowly.
Yeah. But yeah, I haven't stopped off for a while for a coffee and a cake, actually. I'm going to do that. Now I'm an e-biker. Stop and have some cake and carry on.
Can I eat my wimpy?
That's always the downside for Milford, is you got to go back up. Yeah. So it's great. It's great to finish down there, but then you've got to go back to Cannock. But the coffee and the cake's popular, especially at weekends. In particular, at Saturdays is just like mental. Yeah, non-stop with coffee and cake.
Awesome.
Yeah, the floor afterwards is just a nightmare.
Mud, coffee and cake everywhere.
Everywhere.
Brilliant. Yeah, but if you've not been down, do check them out.
Yeah, come say hello.
Yeah, just outside of Stafford. It's like Milford. It's kind of called, is it Milford, the area?
It's called Milford. Yeah, it's,
I think like the last wimpy restaurant
in the world,
in the universe. Like aliens come to Earth because it's the last wimpy, and they go to Milford. He's like, you've got Run&Ride, you've got a pub, and then hidden a little bit back, the tiniest little last wimpy, and they do awesome milkshakes in there as well.
Yes, they do good milkshakes. Yeah.
So go to Run&Ride.
Come and say hello.
Get a coffee and a cake, and then go and get a wimpy.
There's no pressure. We won't force people to buy things.
And there's the newt ponds up at the back as well.
The newt ponds?
The newt ponds.
Yeah.
Nude or newt?
Newt.
Newt
ponds.
Is that where your dad nicks his newts from?
No. Don't say that. Don't say that on the internet.
Oh God, be shut down.
20 years ago, we used to go tadpole fishing there. You're allowed to catch great crested newts as tadpoles, when you were 20 years ago, and grow them into great crested newts.
Yeah.
What you're not allowed to do is catch a great crested newt and take it home. But if you catch the tadpole and it survives in your pond into one, that's fine.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
And then yes, to answer your question, behind Milford, like up the hill a little bit.
Yeah.
Where we went reversing the Wilderfit truck up once.
Oh yeah.
Those ponds there, great ponds. For
there we go. Get some newts.
The eco over here.
I know.
They're homing newts as well.
Just find a way back.
They are. I had a pond, right, and he gave me some newts. They all left and went back home.
How do you know they went home?
4 miles.
I don't know. I presume that's where they went. Although they just didn't like me.
Or they were eaten by Buddy.
Yeah, one of the two. No, I seen them on my Nest camera going off down the road with a little stick and a handkerchief.
Back to Milford.
Yeah. The only way I remember Milford is Pond and Mill.
Okay.
You know the shop Pond and Mill? The old people shop.
No. Yes, I do, yes.
Pond and Mill.
It's not in Milford though, is it?
No, but I always think, right, Run&Ride, Shrubbery, what's the fucking area called? pond. There's a pond and mill. Milford.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So if you ever forget where your shop is, just remember,
Pond
Old
and
People's
Mill.
Shop, Pond and Mill, Milford.
Yeah.
Deers eat cabbages.
Do they?
I've drove up and round the back there, and there's always this little, you know, the weird car that's got its own sort of eyebrow.
Oh, like a little thing, like a little Nissan or something.
No,
Is it?
it's like a big car that's always got 3 seats in the front, but it's a car.
Okay.
And it's got like an eyebrow, and then it's got like it's a really funny looking car. Well, there's always a grey one of them throwing cabbages out the window at the deers, and the deers just sit and eat the cabbages.
Oh, there you go.
Nice. Actually, just a final one on events.
Yeah.
Really, World Mountain Bike Champs
Ooh.
up in Scotland this year, this
Awesome.
summer. So
It's exciting.
yeah, talking about big events, really, it's first time it's really it's happened with all the events all in the one place. But a good friend of mine is working very hard on the mountain bike.
I think I did hear about that on GMBN actually.
Yeah.
They mentioned that it was
yeah, he's working on the
in there.
XC and the marathon course, and it's going to be a corker. So
Awesome.
tickets are out now, so you can go and buy your tickets.
I don't know if that's one I will enter, but it's one that would be certainly good to go and watch.
Well, you can't enter it.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly one to go and watch
Yeah.
up in Glentress,
Yeah.
that area somewhere. So yeah.
Awesome.
There you go.
Well, there we
Yeah.
go. Excellent. And on that note, I think it is a wrap of episode 5 of Do a Skid. Hope you've enjoyed it. Check out Run&Ride on the socials. And that's it.
Thank you, guys.
Woo! I was doing a weird noise.
Okay.
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 Is that
I've had
notes?
enough of you now, James. I want to find the car I'm on about with the funny face.
Multipler.
Is that it? How do you know the name of a multiplier?
Yeah.
You made me dribble.
Do a Skid! This podcast is sponsored by InLife Web Design and Digital Marketing. Smarter solutions to bring your website to life. Also, JCFX Media, shaping your vision through film, animation and aerial footage. Have a nice day!